What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. Here we are at about $84.7 thousand coming fresh off the lows of 81.9 thousand. We broke $82,000, you guys. That's a lot lower than I think anybody else would have expected from this move. I mean, maybe not a lot lower. I'm sure a lot of people still are anticipating that we'll go to 70K or more, and it's possible. We definitely could, if we take a look at this, from a high to low, we dropped 25%. That's a pretty big drop for this Bitcoin bull market. The average Bitcoin bull market, we do see multiple 30% drops or more, right? A 30% drop from here would take us right to about 76K, and there's no real reason to stop there. It would make more sense that we go a little bit lower. We could see a 40% drop. A lot of bull cycles, I think every bull cycle has had a 40% drop or at least something that's over 30%, right? And on a basis of multiple times, it happens, right? If we look at this chart, this is something that I did at the end of my video, my last Bitcoin video here. We'll do it now. Man, my internet really is crappy today for some reason. I don't know what it is. We don't got a winter storm or nothing. It was a nice day. But if we take a percentage standpoint, right, and we take all the drops, right, this is all this is right now. What we're looking at is this was November 2022. This is January 2023, the beginning of the bull market. Since the beginning of the bull market, from a high to a low, we dropped 22%. Since the beginning of the bull market, from a high to a low, we've dropped 20%. And then again, over here, high to low, we've dropped this one. You can't see it because it's overlapping, but 21.7%, right? Here, from a high to a low, these are just all the big drops. I'm not going to measure every insignificant drop, just the significant ones, 21%, right? And then here, this drop, which, by the way, guys, this cycle, just like every bull cycle, it's similar to prior cycles, but it's also unique in its own right? This unique cycle, where we've had very consistent long phases of consolidation, right, and moving up rather methodically, versus last cycle, right, where we had just this quick move up without really any consolidation, any path to it at all, and it wasn't sustainable. That's why the market didn't continue to grow. Same thing with here. We just grew without any consolidation, so we had to backtest a lot. You go back to the cycles before, and we had 40% drops. We had corrections all the way up methodically, all the way through, so it was more sustained for growth. We had 30 to 40% drops all the way through, right? But the last cycle, it was just one big move, and then we consolidated for 17 months. And then it was one big move, and then the cycle was over. So people think, I think at least people think in this cycle that's how it's kind of got to be. But really, we've done things completely different than last cycle, right? We're not moving up in two phases. We moved up in one phase here, another phase there, another phase. Like it's phase after phase after phase. And I'm getting beside myself here. I'm getting away from the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that this cycle is different. Every cycle is different, right? They're all similar. They all have similar things they respect. And this cycle is similar and the exact same in the sense that we have seen a pullback that was over 30%. Every bull market does. But what's different about this cycle, at least I think, is that it seems as though it's a little bit more methodical. Bitcoin's at a higher market cap. We're in the trillions now. 30% drops are harder to achieve. All right, you saw it before. We can go back in time on this glitchy computer that likes to lag, right? We saw it before, even here, right? Even last cycle, it was a real problem to see anything greater than a 30% drop from a high to a low here. I guess that was a 31% drop right there, but the only time that you saw that was after a very, very explosive move up, right? And then these kind of conditions, these short pullbacks to 30% happen. That was the second time in the cycle, I think maybe the only time that we saw something at 30%. Yeah, everything else was smaller. Right? The only time that we saw something larger than 30% was when it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time to consolidate. The biggest drop last cycle is when we had the most time to consolidate, okay? We go back to the cycle before. We can measure all of these from a high to a low. High to a low here, that's a 40% drop. High to low here, it was a 40% drop because I didn't take the actual high. I missed it, but I'm not going to go back and who cares. 33% drops. A lot of people are stuck in this mentality, at least I think they are, because Bitcoin is, again, it's different every cycle, but it's the same. There are very key metrics that are the same, and one of these key metrics is that we're notorious for anytime we correct, we see 30% drops or more. It's not a correction unless it's a 30% drop or more, right? Like that's literally, when I was indoctrinated into crypto, that's what I was taught. It's not over until it's dropped over 30%. And this was the cycle I got in, right? This was it. And every single drop, the reason why you could move up so much is because in the meantime you were dropping a lot too. You were shaking out the weak hands, giving people who want to get in an opportunity to get in, and that allowed the price to grow in a very healthy and at some point uncontrollable phase. We had that blow off top, very parabolic move there, right? You go back to the prior cycle and you notice again we're moving up. Phenomenal, phenomenal. It's not as parabolic, but still phenomenal. From a high to a low, we dropped 40%. But this consolidation on a weekly basis, it took from January 12th until about January 2012 to June. It took 6 months to consolidate before he broke out. That was a significant drop, 40%, but it took a lot of time. It took a lot of time, didn't it? This one here was a significant drop, and it did not take a lot of time. That was 50%. It didn't take a lot of time for it to drop, right? It took a lot of time for it to recover. It was from August 13th, 2012 until January, right? Months later that we began to move up, right? Same thing here with these bigger drops. All I'm trying to say is if you notice this cycle, regardless of the percentages, the biggest drops, they take more time to consolidate. And that's the same in every single cycle. You'll look, the biggest drops, percentage wise, they take more time to consolidate. Make no mistake, guys. All of these here, right? These 39%, these less than 40% drop, these ones were bigger drops technically, and they happened faster, but they took more time to consolidate, less time up here, and they're still overall about the same percentage drops even at some point. But and as you get further in the cycle, the drops will get more volatile, right? That happens too. But the biggest drops still happened in the largest consolidation phases. Just like this one, the biggest drop happened in the largest consolidation phase. Okay? I'm going to step on a wild limb here, and I might be crazy. A lot of crypto OGs might think that I'm wrong on this one. I'm setting myself up for failure, but I don't think that the standard drop in this cycle, at least so it seems to me, is 30% or more, right? The prior cycles, 30% or more was the standard. 40% even or more was the standard, right? And certainly for the bigger drops. The biggest drops happened at the longest phases of consolidation. Where was the longest phases of consolidation here? Well, from a high to a low, that was it. That was the longest consolidation we had in this bull cycle, probably the longest until we end this cycle. There's not going to be a consolidation phase that long. If we do, we're not going to have a cycle left. Might as well just start the bear cycle, right? We look outside of this, right? You did have a 22% drop. That's bigger, I suppose, than the average here, but still about average, okay? 33%, the biggest one. It took a lot of time to drop. It took a lot of time, right? Here we are consolidating. You can say, well, we're taking a lot of time now to consolidate, so wouldn't it make sense that we drop a lot? Well, I mean, we've dropped 25%. We have consolidated for a while, and we have dropped more than the average drop of this cycle so far. The bigger drops happen with more consolidation, but it's not this size of consolidation. It's not going to be. I doubt. And if it is, then the bear market's starting, guys. 100K was the top, and we're all wrong. That's or some of the very big bear people were right, but none of the market indicators that suggest that Bitcoin is topped suggest that it's topped. All the crypto OGs, the people who've been around in Bitcoin since 2015 or earlier, none of them are worried about the cycle. Every person, right? I had somebody write me and I wrote them back. I forget what their name is. They like to talk smack sometimes. They're like, all the crypto influencers are bearish and say that the market cycle's over. Why are you bullish? What's your proof? What's your evidence? And he must be only looking at new crypto influencers, because all the OG influencers, all the guys that have been here since like the 2015 to 2017 cycle or earlier, guys like me or earlier, we're all bullish. We're not phased. We're not phased by this 25%. You know what? Drop 36%. I'm not going to be phased. The bull cycle's not over, you guys. It's not over, and it could happen. We could drop more. It's possible. It really is possible. I don't think we're going to though, because again, getting back, I got so distracted, but we brought it back right to the point. I think the average drop for this cycle is similar to every cycle, but it's different in the sense that a drop standard is not 30%. It's just over 20%. And right now at 25%, while a lot of the OGs might be, logically assuming that we have to see a 30% drop or more, I think that they might be overlooking the fact that that's just not how we've done it this cycle. That's not how we've done it. That's not, and anytime we see those drops at any other cycle, right? aside from the very long phases, which have the biggest drops in the midst of the bull cycle, they happen fast. These drops, they happen super fast, right? They don't take several months to accomplish. They take several months to consolidate and break out of. But even here, that was a big drop in a very short amount of time. They happen fast, you guys. They're not something that happens slow. Even here, that took 70%, but in the first like month, you dropped 34%. You know what I mean? None of these drops are happening fast, right? They're taking time. This cycle is more methodical than any other cycle we've had, other than maybe the 2017 cycle. That was pretty methodical with the parabolic movement up. I'm assuming right now, just to say it as plainly as I can, I would assume that right now we are at an above average drop for the market for this bull cycle. Looking at it like that, I'm thinking anything right now but lower prices. I'm thinking it's a great time to buy. And again, I'm saying this while also completely accepting and completely willing to admit that as of now, it is more possible to interact with this price here at 73.7K or lower than it has been since we broke above it. It's more likely now than it's been through this whole time. I still don't think we're going to go down there. That's not my expectation. I'm not talking about it because I expect it to happen. I expect that was the low. And if it's not the low, we're super, super close. But if I'm wrong, this is where we would go. And if we go there, we might have to rethink our cycle high expectations because it'll take longer to configure itself and grow from there. We don't have a whole lot of time left in the bull cycle, right? This year is probably the last year, and then we have another 3 years until the next blow off finale. 1 year of bear cycle, 1 year of figuring things out, and then 2 years of bull cycle or whatever, however it works. Where was I going with this, right? I don't believe if we go below this line or even to this line that the bull cycle's over. So for me, all I'm putting at risk here is my pride, right? All I'm putting at risk here is my pride. My pride is on the line saying that's the low. If we go lower, I'm certainly not going to sell. My finances are not at risk. We are still going to recover and see higher prices, my friends. It's inevitable. There's too many bullish things going on from a fundamental basis with crypto and with Bitcoin. None of the indicators that happen that flash every single bull cycle as a end of cycle indicator, none of them have gone off. Like literally none of them at all. The only thing we got is like I don't even know, man. What would be a good Bybit got hacked, right? The biggest, just like FTX. But the thing is, it was different because Bybit actually handled it. Other than that, there's no like top signals, right? I don't think there is any top signals in the market right now. If anything, right now, I'm actually curious, what is our fear and greed at? We haven't even done any technical analysis. We're going to get to the TA soon here, you guys. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're enjoying the video so far, though. Let's see here. Come on now, baby. My internet, dude. I don't know what it is. T-Mobile, you got to get some better 5G or something. It normally actually works out pretty well. 20. You guys, we are at a 20. That is borderline extreme levels of fear. I would say it is extreme levels of fear. Technically, on this indicator, it's anything below 20. But hey, man, you're at 20. You're at that threshold. I don't know about you guys. Have you checked around the social media spaces? It's there's some extreme fear going on in the markets. This is the lowest reading on the fear and greed index we've had since the bear market, man. We haven't seen anything this low all bull market. And all it is a higher high that's about average of a drop, and it's just a little bit above average. And it's just a little bit above average, and we are way lower on the fear and greed index than we've ever been. Don't get me wrong, that's low at 26, but the difference between 26 and 20 is a lot. The difference between 90 and 85 is a lot with these things, right? It only goes from a scale of 0 to 100. So 20 is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Any lower than this, it's a big deal too. It's hard to achieve these numbers, right? But here we are achieving high levels of fear at what arguably would be a very desirable price for the majority of this bull cycle. We have to get some perspective and understand where we are, guys. The cycle is not over. It's definitely not over. Even if we have lower to go, it's not over. There's more to come. If the price goes lower, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't expect that. That would hurt my portfolio for sure. And I would just buy more. I would buy so much more down here. It would be a buying opportunity. And I know that me and all of the crypto OGs that have been around since before me. I'm saying crypto OGs as if that cycle makes me a crypto. I don't consider myself a crypto OG. I've been around since I bought my first Bitcoins in 2015, right? I sold them. I did not hold them all the way through. No way. I wish I did. It'd be, I would probably be on a yacht right now making these videos, right? But probably not. Who knows? But I wouldn't get a yacht, man. That's just dumb. I'd be, but anyways, enough about stuff that would never happen, that never did happen. Um, I think that anybody who got in before 2015 are like the real OGs. But I guess I don't know. It's as you get older, you get adopted into OG status, whatever. All I'm trying to say, I got distracted from this damn semantics, is that if I'm looking at this as a good buying opportunity and it just makes sense that we're not going to go lower. And then even if we do go lower, I'm looking at it as a, oh well, it's a better buying opportunity and I will buy forcibly there. I will sell my kidneys and buy more Bitcoin here. I know I'm not the only person who is thinking this, who's from the same generations of crypto investment and even beyond, even earlier or later crypto investors, right? There are plenty of people. There are governments and institutions around the world who would chomp at the bit. They're probably chomping at the bit now to get in, right? Like genuinely, it's just, I'm saying this because even if it happens, the bull cycle's not over, right? And very literally, even if it happens, that's still outside of my theory, but still that would be an average drop for the average bull market. For this bull market, it's a bit extreme. For this bull market, the drop we've already seen is a bit outside of the average, but it is just barely outside the average. I'm expecting that we stop here and that we move up. The bottom is in, right? I don't know what this week's going to bring. We've got 3 days and 22 hours left, but it wouldn't surprise me in the least if by the end of this week, not only were we, we're down about 11.7%, but not only would we be down like less than 3%, it would be like a slight negative neutral week with a very big wick, right? Not only would I think that by the end of this week that we could be there, but by the end of this week, I might be the only YouTuber saying, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't watched any YouTube videos today, so I might not be. But 3 days, 22 hours left. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if this week closed green. It really wouldn't. And all the people who are screaming the loudest right now, they're going to 70K or that the bull market's over. The people that say the bull market's dead and they don't know what they're talking about, they are very loud down here. But they were quiet up here. I promise you, we will hear crickets again once we revert back up there. And I believe that we actually stand a very solid chance of doing that by the end of this week. The next 4 days, we got 4 days time. And all we did in this last 3 days was move down. Well, we got 4 days left, baby. We can eat it back up. That's for damn sure. If we look at the 4-hour time frame, and let's try to end this video on a good note with some TA here. Look at the 4-hour time frame. We do absolutely. It's undeniable. It's certifiable. A higher low here, higher low right there on the RSI. Deep readings too. You went below the 20. You even went below the 15. Deep ass readings, you guys. A lot of volume at the low, a lot of volume at the low. Lower lows here, higher lows there. That means, say it with me, bullish divergence. Yes, on the 4-hour time frame. It's not the most significant time frame, but it's still pretty damn significant, you guys. It really, really is. Like that's a big deal. And we are very entrenched in this downtrend with the RSI. We're about, look at this. Think about it in other words, right? Let's zoom out and look at this real quick, okay? You're in a downtrend in your 4-hour. You can see it. We are bullishly diverging here. Even if you don't think this overall thing is a downtrend, whatever, you don't have to get on board with that. At least this part right here, this is a downtrend, right? What happens, at least over the coming days, we have 4 days left in this week, what happens over the coming days when we break out of this downtrend? I wonder what's going to happen, right? The price might have a positive reaction with this bullish divergence. We might see that kind of stuff happen. The divergence formed at about 87,000. That's not that high away, right? We're at 85K now. So technically for this divergence to be fulfilled, all we got to do is move up to here and then we can move down again. It's not calling for new all-time highs. That's not what I'm saying. But I've seen all-time highs or new highs relative to whatever retracement we're in start on 1-hour bullish divergences that were less significant than this, right? Just because the call for the divergence is verified or validated once you get to like these 87 to 88K levels, and then that means you can go down again, doesn't mean that you have to go down again. I actually very much think that this is a great bottoming point. This is an area that we're going to continue to build from and inevitably see new all-time highs over the coming weeks from, right? I'm very much expecting that we'll be at new all-time highs in the month of March. Maybe I would think by the second week of March is finished, right? The second week, not the first week, but by the second week of March, I would think by that end, we're either at new all-time highs or absurdly close to new all-time highs. And by the end of March, things are going to be very explosive, you guys. Just imagine, right, how crazy explosive things are to the downside right now, right? And it's not that bad. We're only down 11% this week. Bitcoin can move up that much in a day if it wants to, even at a multi-trillion-dollar market cap. What happens with all this manic depressiveness? What happens when we come back here? If we're super fearful down here, I wonder how much FOMO is going to come into play when this low gets eaten up and we're actually above where we started our breakout from. I wonder. I don't wonder, but it'll be I think entertaining at the least to see how the space handles it. I don't know. I'm assuming right now there are a lot of bears who are very loud in the space, and I'm also assuming that as we get up here, there are going to be a lot of loud bears as well, calling for like a triple top or something, some kind of saving grace. But it's not going to happen. We're moving up. I don't really know what else to say, man. I feel like I'm just talking at this point. 1 hour time frame also bullishly diverging. Yes, also bullishly diverging. Um, Daily time frame, that is a lot of volume. That is a lot of volume, you guys. Definitely is. It's possible we could go lower. We really could. You should prepare yourselves for that, right? Always be prepared for that. That way, if it happens, you don't panic sell. You don't want to panic sell. But high to, or low to high here at the 1414, solid tip for a bounce. I will say it's very common with the 1414. Why is it doing this? It's because my internet's glitching. Hold on. There we go. So I've got like 3 bars on my Wi-Fi router. I don't know why. It's a 5G thing. It's supposed to be good, but nope. 1414, it's very common to go just below it. So the fact that you tipped it, the fact that you showed significance on it, to me, not only illustrates this as a low, but gives us a real solid potential, solid chance of seeing new all-time highs from here, right? It's a very positive, influential moment in the Fibonacci extension tool that just happened right there. And to validate this, to back this up, you don't need to get above the 1272. You need to get above the 886. If we can get above $91.3 thousand, the target, let me be clear, right? 96K is the ultimate goal. We want to get above, actually, let's bump it up, 97K. You get above 97K, this whole move down is invalidated for across several metrics, okay? It's an invalidated move, at least to the low side. It was a slip, and then we gave it back up, right? But from a Fibonacci perspective, to not encourage lower extensions being met, what you need to see is a breakout above the 886. You need that, and then ideally something that you find support either on the 786 or the 886, or even if you break above the 886 but you go below it and you find support at the 100, something that's showing productivity in the Fibonacci retracement. If you can do that, the first step is getting above 91K. So the first step to validating this as a low would be getting above about $91.3 thousand. You get above there, that should be exciting. This is looking like a low. The odds that that's the low went up a lot. Okay, we get above 91 and not wicking, closing. Any day, any multi 4-hour period, we need 2 4-hour candles in a row. If you can close above 91.3K, that's the first ticket. That ups our chances a lot that this is the low. If after getting above that 886, we find support on a not a lower fib level, lower than wherever we reject and we come down and find support on, but a higher fib level than the 1414. Yes, we could literally go all the way up above the 886, come back down and find support on the 1272, and because that's a higher fib level, that would also help validate that this is the low. Okay, we've got a lot of room to run with whenever it comes to rejection. If we tear through this and we do our thing, whatever, we find support, we find resistance, whatever, and we keep working our path up, we get to this golden ratio, we get above 96.4, let's just say 96.5, 97K, we get above there on a closing period, not on a wicking period. Closing is very important for confirmation. We need to close. We can't wick. We have to close above there. If we do, that's the low. There's no disputing it. It's possible. Anything's possible. You could go down, but at that point, I'm talking like 90% chance or more. That's the low. We're moving up to new all-time highs. End of discussion, right? So 96.5K, 97K, a very big deal. 91.3K, a very big deal. And what we do in between is also a big deal. It's completely possible that after breaking out above the 886, we don't even retrace. We just keep going. It's completely possible we V-bottom recovery out of here. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. And here's why. I know a lot of you that watch the live stream, you're aware of this already, but I'm just going to say it again. We're in a diamond pattern right here, right? From the lows there. I'm not drawing it the best because my internet's glitching out, but it's a diamond pattern. Diamond patterns, if you're looking at this, you're like, that doesn't look like a diamond, it's ugly as hell. Then you think you've just identified a diamond pattern. They're very ugly patterns. And they're one of the few patterns that I've come across that are notorious. What they're known for is actually wicking outside of their borders. You're supposed to have these blemishes outside, right? That's how you know you actually have a diamond. And this look of a diamond top, everything about it looks like a diamond top to me. If it doesn't look like a diamond, let me just zoom out. It might be easier for you to see. You see the diamond look now? Is it more obvious for you now whenever it's less spread out? It might be more obvious when it's more spread out. I don't know. To me, it's more obvious when it's all congested like that. What's very characteristic of a diamond, what also verifies this is a diamond pattern, is how it broke out. You broke out at the tip here, at the nose, right? The symmetrical triangle look at the end here. You broke out, and when you broke out, you went at a high velocity. Diamond patterns are known for high velocity breakout moves. They're also known for something else, and this happens about 50% of the time, so this is not a guarantee, but this is what I'm looking for. Diamond patterns are known for high velocity moves that also result in a pullback through the breakout point, not to the breakout point, but through the breakout point. Therefore, necessarily, or not necessarily, what would the word be? Consequently, invalidating the pattern, the breakout move, the original breakout move. And oftentimes those invalidations lead to greater growth to the upside. Oftentimes they do, not always, right? Sometimes what you'll do is you'll break through it and then you'll still go lower inevitably, right? But maybe not at as high of a velocity, right? But what I'm trying to say here is regardless of the thought of a standard diamond pattern pulling back through the breakout, and that's not a guarantee that it has to go higher. Maybe it goes lower, whatever. Pulling that aside, we can work out all the what ifs and everything. Let's do the first what if, the very first what if to what would happen if we did have this V-shaped recovery, if we did exactly what diamond patterns are notorious for. About 50% of the time when they break out, they pull back through their breakout point. What would happen to the sentiment? What would happen to the governments of the world, the agencies, the institutions of the world, to you, the retail investor, the people of the world? What would happen to all of us if Bitcoin did this in 3 days and then 2 days later, 3 days later, it's back up here? My guess, and it's just in my humble opinion, my guess is even though we'd be at the same prices that we were at here, where a lot of people were bearish and a lot of people were scared that we might drop, and some people, myself included, in this time, I was thinking we'd break out. It was only this last 2 days before we actually dropped that I was saying, okay, I think we are going to go to the downside. I would assume that all the people who were curious or worried that the bull market might be over, or they might think that, they're going to lose their money, all that fear and stuff, at the same exact price levels, everybody would start talking about all-time highs again. People are going to talk about multi-$100,000 Bitcoins again, not $70,000 Bitcoins again. What would this do to the psychology of the market? The answer is it would make them see. It would make them see. That's what it would do. I've got nothing else for you guys. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.